ESPN Champ Week presented by Principal. This is the Big Sky Men's Basketball Championship as co-regular season champions square off to decide who has the final say. The Northern Colorado Bears meeting up with the Grizzlies of Montana. And Boise, the site tonight for the tournament affectionately known as Starch Madness. And this Big Sky heavyweight fight is the perfect way to end it out. This tournament has had a number of blowouts, not many upsets to write home about, as it's the 1 and 2 seeds lining up in the finale. Well, thanks so much for staying up late with us alongside Hall of Fame coach Joe Cravens. I'm Tony Parks, and Coach, Cinderella has been a normal customer here in the finale. However, she was very rudely uninvited this season, but what we do get is two teams who beat up on one another in the regular season, finished with identical conference records, and no better way to break this tie.
Well, Tony, it's been a long time since both the 1 and the 2 played in the final game of this tournament. Both teams have been playing lights out in their first 2 games here. I think this is going to be a whale of a championship game.
And these two teams 1 and 2 in the standings, also 1 and 2 in almost every single offensive category. And in this tournament, they've been fabulous everywhere.
Well, Tony, they have been better defensively than offensively, if you can believe that. Them being the top two teams on offense all season, they have been just absolutely lights out defensively. Dominating would be the more descriptive term in their first 2 games.
Championship game experience is something you have always emphasized. Montana was here last year, had an 11-point lead in the second half, and the game flipped upside down.
Well, I think being here last year will really help the Grizzlies. This is Travis DeCure's 6th trip to the final game, Tony, in his 11 years as the head coach at Montana. He is the dean of Big Sky coaches.
For the Northern Colorado Bears, coached by Steve Smiley, he had them on this stage back in 2022. That team had a ton of talent, but they were one of the worst defensively. This group has the talent and the toughness.
Well, as I said earlier, they both have been dominant defensively in their first 2 games, and we'll talk more about that as the game goes on.
And the number 1 possession to the number 1 seed.
Tony, these are 2 very, very good offensive teams, but don't look for this to be a kind of a high-scoring affair. And as I said that, Isaiah Hawthorne with his first shot going in, coming off a 29-point game in his first game here in the conference tournament, the highest scoring game in the tournament so far.
Johnson outside to Whitney. Montana's first possession. A fortunate bounce in a 3. Whitney, who's had a big uptick with scoring as of late. His last 6 games, he's averaged just under 15 a game.
You know, 30 seconds ago when I said don't expect this to be a high-scoring game, let me take that statement back. But both teams have been so good defensively, it's hard for me to imagine they both started off with a first made shot.
A block shot. You see the collapse there with Pridgeon and Sawyer. That battle in the paint could be really big tonight. Sawyer's such a key part to this team, but it's the way he defended Wisney and the paint in that second matchup.
Well, that was a kind of go-get-it type block from Joe Pridgeon, the first-team all-league guy. Not very tall at 6'5", but huge 2-foot jumper and just strong as a bull in the paint.
The point guard matchup is a great one tonight. Really answers with a bucket on the offensive end.
You'll see really get to that paint more than probably any point guard in the league and do just that. He loves to get there and kind of wiggle around, go up and under like a post guy, and really is a first team, one of the 3 first team all-league players for the Bears.
Each team defeated the other one on their home court. Northern Colorado rudely blasted Montana, led by as many as 32, doubled them in the paint, 52-26. It was the worst home loss in conference history in the DeCure era. Wisney, wide right, good defense. Sawyer, the O-board was grabbed by Wisney. Loose ball scrambled for, it's Malik Moore. Montana returned the favor when they went to Greeley, leading by as many as 21 points. It was just a complete opposite of what they had happen in their first matchup. Whitney hit his last one and hits this one. The CEO of this Montana team with the first 6 points.
Brandon Whitney hit 1,600 career points last night. He has set more records in the last couple of weeks and you can shake a stick at the all-time leading assist guy in the history of Montana. He set that record on the last regular season game.
Well, shot by Reynolds. He's had 2 great games against Montana, including a 17-point, 15 rebound performance in that win. Johnson rumbling right of the lane. What a take. And fireworks firing off early and often here in Boise.
An unbelievable start offensively against these teams. They have held their opponents, Tony, to under 50 and under 60 points, respectively, in their first 2 games.
Montana, the number 2 3-point shooting team and the number 2 offensive team overall on the year. During conference play, their numbers were razor sharp and close. Pridgeon was a key reason why, and the heart and soul of this Montana team helps the Grizzlies get up 10-6.
Joe Pridgeon showing off that great leaping ability off of 2 feet. He's also a great post defender for a guy that's only about 6'5".
Reynolds held up by Pridgeon. Goes with the right hand, scores it over him. So many possessions, better offense than defense.
Well, Reynolds is their second leading scorer. He's gone 3 straight games, the last regular season game and the 2 games in the tournament, without getting double figures, Tony. He only had 3 games all season where he wasn't in double figures, so it's kind of good to see him get off to a good offensive start.
Kai Johnson hit 3 threes last night, nails one to start his night. Those 3 triples, the same amount he had in the previous 7 games combined.
He had a 13-point game last night, got off to a slow start in the tournament, only 4 points in the first game, but did add 3 rebounds.
Reynolds with some momentum, great defense. Whitney, he's held up and a foul is called. Whitney thought he actually got a tie-up on that.
Boy, it looked like it from here, too. Whitney was had hands right on top of the ball. Whitney, last night, Tony, had set the Big Sky record for the most minutes ever played by a Big Sky player.
Kai Johnson hitting this 3. The defense of this Northern Colorado team in the tournament, holding their opponents to just 1 of 19 from deep up to this point in the first half.
Well, both teams have just been, as I said, off the charts defensively.
Wisney on the lay-in. Great dump off from Riley. 13-10 now.
Dribble penetration there, making a help situation where Sawyer had to come over and help, and that created an easy dump off to Wisney. Wisney is one of only 2 guys on his team, he and Riley, that have had back-to-back double-digit games in the tournament.
Johnson and 1. This bout is going to go all 12 rounds, but round 1 to the men in maroon.
Kai Johnson, the 4th leading scorer, but one of 4 guys who averaged double figures on this Montana team, off to a great start, and has got his team off to a 15-10 lead here in Starch Madness.
(15-10) our score here. Montana with the lead over Northern Colorado. Coach, the offenses number 1 and number 2, the seeds number 1 and number 2. This looks like a championship game should look here in the early going.
Tony, I can't believe these 2 teams have started off so strong offensively. Montana hadn't missed a shot yet. They're 6 for 6, 100%, and Northern Colorado 5 for 7. Listen to these shooting percentage they've held their opponents to in the first 2 games. UNC, 27% defensive field goal percentage, 16.7 from 3. Montana, 35% defensive field goal percentage, 24% from 3. And both of them are just lighting it up right now. Only 2 missed shots between the 2 teams. I thought it may be late in the evening before either one of them ever got a basket. Now it may be a while for either one of them misses. Unbelievable start offensively.
And an entertaining start to this one. You see Steve Smiley, who put a big emphasis recruiting in the state of Colorado. The number 2 player in Colorado, Reynolds, has it and goes to Wisney. Wisney guarded by Patterson. He scores over him. And as good as Patterson has been on both ends of the floor in this tournament, that's a tough matchup.
Well, that's a tough matchup. Brock Wisney, 6'9", 230 pounds, and he is 10 of 12 in these 2 games here, both double-digit games, one of only 2 Bears, who scored double digits in both games. And if you let him catch it down there and you are 6'2", you got a whole long night ahead of you.
Hawthorne bumps into Johnson. He's held up. The foul is not on the shot. Back to your point about Brock Wisney. What a disparity in his 2 performances against Montana. In the victory, 19 points, 8 rebounds, a career high 5 dimes. In the loss, 5 points, 2 assists. Travis DeCure has an ability to make adjustments.
Well, he has done. How about that? Speaking of adjustments, he's got his 6th man of the year, Money Williams, in now. And a great defensive play there by Kai Johnson, who is one of the top steals guys in the league. He's playing with a lot of energy tonight. He has battled an ankle injury the last couple of years. Austin Patterson in, who came off a career night last night when he had 20 points off the bench and 5 made threes. He had 4 steals in the first half and really got the Grizzlies going early on against the Idaho team, who won their first game since 2017 in this tournament.
Great defense, Wisney. Up the court, Reynolds. Up against Williams. Scores around him. It's 16-14.
Reynolds, who, as I said, had not scored much in this tournament. No double-figure games. Not a great shooter, a great scorer, though, and maybe the best athlete in the league.
Pridgeon and Obor falling down, couldn't get it to go. Montana, one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in this conference, had just 4 in their last meeting against the Bears. Here going to work in the paint. There's Reynolds, and we're tied at 16.
Well, that's back-to-back paint catches for in a mismatch situation there for the Grizzlies. They've got to get matched up in transition defense. First it was Wisney, and then Langston taking a smaller guard to task in the post.
Money Williams, 6th man of the year. Short on the 3, Wisney the board. And Northern Colorado with some momentum here. This 6-0 run.
Money Williams, 16 points and 13 points. One of his last regular season games, 36 against Portland State, where he had 30 points in the second half.
An offensive foul is called on Wisney. He can't believe it.
Well, I talked about what an outstanding post defender that Joe Pridgeon was, even though he's only 6'5". What he does is just stay down and stay strong, stay between his man and the basket. You never see him get angled to the basket or try to make a home run play and swipe for a ball and create a uncontested lane to the basket. He is a very, very smart position post defender.
Montana was beaten in the paint 52-26 in their first meeting. Different story the second time around. Sawyer has been one of the biggest reasons why. An inspiration to this team. And he gives Montana the lead.
Now Montana just flipped the script there. Quentin Dinker at 6'3", trying to stop big Tajon Sawyer. We just keep seeing mismatch after mismatch in the paint. If you let Tajon Sawyer catch it that low at 6'8", 252 pounds, you better bring a lunch and a lantern to the game, because it's going to be a long evening.
Tajon Sawyer, 9 or more points in 7 straight games. He had just 3 total in the other conference games.
Outstanding free throw shooter, too. You won't see him. He left that one way short. He's the second best free throw shooter on their team.
Reynolds held up by Patterson. Sawyer comes over to help. Really with a look for 3, and Northern Colorado jumps in front.
Really one of 3 first-team all-league guys. He is 3rd in the league in assists and 1st in the league in assist-to-turnover ratio. Not really noted for his three-point shooting. Boy, he jumped up and shot that one pretty free and easy.
Sawyer puts it off the back of the iron. Really the rebound. That hit for Really. That was his 2nd three-point make during this tournament. He was just 1 for 7 coming into tonight, but buries his 2nd three-pointer. The final 6 regular season games, he saw a 62% from deep.
Well, he has had a great year. He is one of the best rebounding point guards in the league. In fact, he's 2nd on his team in rebounds, Tony. Almost 6 rebounds. You don't see that a whole lot from a point guard. Tajon Sawyer with an offensive foul there, rolling to the basket and got a little bit too physical with that, and back and forth we go. And now the #1 seed grabs the lead here, up 4 here at Starch Madness.
Punch and counter punch, Coach. A 12-2 response by the Northern Colorado Bears to take the lead by 4.
Well, I read off what each team has done in their first 2 games defensively, Tony. And so far, Montana's shooting 64% and the Bears shooting 77%. Someone listening to me might say, well, I don't know what he's been watching in the last 2 games, but those 2 teams didn't do that defensively because they are just lighting it up so far compared to the previous 2 games they've played.
Many of these possessions, it's just been better offense.
No question.
Beating what has been some tough defense.
Well, this is the #1 and #2 offensive teams in the league. #1 shooting, #1 3-point percentage, #2 shooting, #2 3-point percentage.
They didn't get there by luck. Really, up against Whitney. A terrific point guard matchup tonight. Really has it dialed in this first half. Jaron really now with 10.
That's 2 he's gotten so far on that exact move, kind of backing Whitney down, who's a little bit smaller than him, and just kind of rising up over him, kind of a fall away there. That's tough to guard. Really is really good in the post, again, for a point guard.
Pridgeon gets this score. It ends what was an 8-0 run in favor of the Bears, and the lead is back down to 4.
Joe Pridgeon just sawmill strong in the paint when he gets it down that low. First team all-conference this year. A guy, one of 22 players, Division I players, Tony, who have played at 4 different schools in his career.
A takeaway, Malik Moore. With block cutting him off, they'll settle into this half-court set. Money Williams, a terrific player coming off the bench, can explode and score in bunches. Pridgeon, he's been busy early. He's been busy often. He goes up against Reynolds deep in the paint. Help coming over from McCreary. And now Whitney breaks the paint. Money Williams open. Left, or rather off to the right. Rebound, Pridgeon saves it in to Whitney. Malik Moore, a head fake. Out to Money Williams. Second possession. What a move to the rack, and what a great block by McCreary.
Well, McCreary has been good coming off the bench for the Bears. He had 11 points, 9 rebounds last night. That was a fabulous defensive play coming from the weak side there, the Air Force Academy transfer.
Really. Guarded by Malik Moore. Gets him off his feet. Launches and misses the 3, tried to draw the foul, didn't get the call.
Really nice individual defense by Malik Moore. They're staying down, really trying to get the foul on that shot fake, and Malik Moore really did a nice job.
Money Williams with the bucket and the foul on the other end.
Money Williams may be the best finisher for a guard in the Big Sky. He has great size at 6'4", 200 pounds. Watch him give you a little shooky there on the way to the basket. Some guys are straight line drivers, Tony. Money Williams can get there in a lot of different ways. Great block coming from the offside by Malik McCreary.
Williams 79% from the stripe this season. He completes the 3-point play. He played at the same high school as Damian Lillard, led them to their first ever state title. He's had a great season.
Money Williams, 16 points in the first game, 13 last night with 5 assists.
Wisney on the lay-in. And it's now a 26-23 game.
And Jaron really is just kind of ruling down at the offensive end. Great penetration and pitch there by the first team all-league guy, Jaron Riley. One of 9 Australians in the Big Sky Conference.
Whitney rises, fires, and hits, and the point guards going back and forth here tonight. Whitney with 8, Riley with 10. We have a 1-point game.
Well, you knew that was going to be a great matchup. Whitney, the all-time leading assist guy in Montana history, the number 10 scorer, just went over 16 points last night. Really first team all-league, the leading assist-turnover ratio guy in the Big Sky. 2 really good point guards.
Reynolds off balance, couldn't quite get it to go. Malik Moore the board. Here comes Whitney along the right side.
Malik Moore's been really active here in the first half. He hadn't scored a lot, but he's gotten his hands on a lot of balls and really rebounded.
Now hits a three-pointer, rewarded with some great offense, and even when it's not there, to your point, his defense never comes down.
Well, he's been nursing a wrist injury. He's only 4 of 14 in the first 2 games and 2 of 8 from the three-point line. But boy, he drilled that one like no one's business.
An offensive foul, and it will give the ball back to Montana.
Tajon Sawyer stepping up big, putting that 6'8", 252 pounds between the driver and the basket. The big fella. Watch this. Getting outside of the circle. And that was Langston Reynolds, a pretty big, strong body himself at 6'4", 195 pounds. Tajon Sawyer is a tough character in and around that basket.
Well, both of these two teams with some dominant victories to start this tournament. The definition of thrive and advance. They have been so fun to watch up to this point in this tournament, which ends with this finale. You couldn't ask for a better matchup. And the runs continue to go back and forth. Take a look at the Big 12 tournament. Don't miss the quarterfinal action tomorrow. It starts with BYU, winners of 8 in a row and 12 of their last 14. They have a rematch against Iowa State in what was a wild double overtime game last week. Catch the quadruple header starting at 12:30 Eastern on the ESPN family of networks.
How about Colorado's run near the 16th seed? All they've done is win their first 2 games there. Tad Boyle and the Buffaloes kind of gelling at the right time, so to speak. Montana with 4 turnovers, Tony. They had 14 in their first game. They cut that way down yesterday in their second game. They only had 6, but they're 10-0 this season when they have 10 or less turnovers. 4 turnovers after 12 minutes is a little bit concerning, I'm sure, for Coach DeCure.
As soon as Kansas and UCF comes to a close, we'll move this game over to ESPN2. The Bears have hit 6 of their last 8 from the field, and they find themselves down by 2 after having a 6-point lead there for a bit.
And Jaron really just having a night. 4 of 5 from the field, 2 of 3 from the three-point line, 10 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. The first teamer from Australia. His dad was a great player here in the States. His dad is the coach of the Perth Wildcats. His dad in 1995, the MVP of the West Coast Conference tournament, and led Gonzaga to their first ever NCAA tournament.
Pridgeon out to Money Williams. They'll give it back to Pridgeon here. Pridgeon with 4 points so far in this game. Goes up against Hawthorne. The reverse layup is good. And Joe Pridgeon, 13 points and a ton of work in the paint when they beat the Bears.
That's his 3rd basket. He seems to be very assertive offensively here in this championship game. He has not been a big scorer there. He's got his hands full with big Brock Wisney down in the low block. Brock Wisney, 6'9", 230 pounds, and I'm telling you, he's tougher than a $3 steak when he gets down there, too. Watch Pridgeon here get his shoulder lower than Hawthorne's shoulder, and when you do that as a driver, you have the advantage. Joe Pridgeon very efficient when he puts the ball on the floor.
The Bears had a 12-2 run, and now the Grizzlies on a 12-2 run. McCreary hits the 3, and for Marcel McCreary, 11-9 in the game last night, and his scoring has really started to elevate in the back half of the year.
He had 4 made 3-point shots in their last game of the season in about a 3-minute stretch at Weber State that really kind of rescued the Bears in that last regular season game. Weber State played them right down the wire, and then the Bears just destroyed Weber State in their first game here in the tournament.
Malik Moore, 28% from deep the last 5 games, but was 50% from the outside during that 10-game win streak.
Malik Moore, the second leading scorer on this team, just a couple tenths of a point behind Money Williams.
Moore around the screen from Sawyer. Look to get it back to him. Instead goes to Money Williams. Plenty of options on the floor here for Montana. Williams has it stripped and taken away. Great play by Riley.
Their 5th turnover. They had 14 in their first game, although it didn't matter much in that game, but it's going to matter in this game.
Hawthorne is held up. That'll be the 15th foul against the Grizzlies. The Bears have 6.
Hawthorne just 1 of 1. Remember, here's that Marcel McCreary, nice draw and kick by Jaron Reilly. I think Reilly is, and there's Malik Moore, and that jump shot is sweet as church music when he is on. Really, I think is the best decision maker in the entire league, Tony. And I'm not talking about assist to turnover ratio. I'm just talking about how he runs the team. He understands when to push the gas, when to back off. That was a terrific read by him on that draw and kick to Marcel McCreary.
McCreary misses this time. If there was a hockey assist that was allowed, Whitney and Reilly would have some insane numbers. Johnson goes to the paint, and he's called for a travel.
Well, Whitney, the all-time assist leader in Montana history, but both guards have a great feel for the game. Whitney has an unbelievable assist-to-turnover ratio, Tony. The 5 last regular season games, he had 1 turnover in 5 games. He's got 14 games this year where he didn't make a single turnover, 13 where he made 1. That's 27 games where he made either 1 or no turnovers.
Reynolds left open for 3. It's long, and Sawyer comes down with the board.
Reynolds not a great three-point shooter. He's more of a slasher driver, but if you leave him all alone, he's got to take that. He can make it, but that's not his deal.
Pridgeon's been busy. So has Sawyer. And the paint-to-paint pass puts Montana up by 6.
Boy, the Montana Grizzlies just kind of ruling the paint right now. Joe Pridgeon, very, very active and assertive on that catch. Not scoring him, but he's already got a couple of assists on those little paint-to-paint passes, you call them, Tony.
A turnover by the Bears. And the fans wearing maroon start to rise to their feet here a bit. They feel their team on a run, a scoring drought for a few minutes here of the Bears. And the Grizzlies have hit their last 6 from the field.
Well, that'll make you well. You hit 6 in a row here right in the heart of the first half.
Great battle of the bigs tonight. Sawyer against Wisney. Great battle of the point guards tonight involving Whitney and also Reilly, but he's guarded by McCreary here. Gets into the paint, draws that foul, and he'll shoot 2. Brandon Whitney's ability, not just to get into the paint, but get as deep as he does, and then so many options to choose from.
Well, I talked about how good Reilly was in the paint. Of course, Reilly's 6'3", and with pretty long arms. Brandon Whitney's not near that big, 6'1", 183, but he is terrific when he gets in the paint. He had a great first game for them, 24 points, 8 of 9 from the field, and a whole bunch of them were just like that in the paint, where he is a great finisher for a guy 6'1".
Montana up by 7. Brandon Whitney on the all-tournament team a year ago. Came into today hitting 41 of his last 45 from the stripe. We welcome our audience who just watched Kansas and UCF and that double overtime thriller. Welcome to the Big Sky Conference Championship game. The number 1 and number 2 seeds, co-regular season champions, meeting up here tonight. And the Grizzlies with an early lead. The Bears punch back with a 14-2 run. And now the Grizzlies on a terrific stretch at this moment, leading by 8 as it's a 14-3 run for Montana. Alongside Joe Cravens, I'm Tony Parks. Starch Madness, as they call it here in Boise. It's always a blast, and we couldn't ask for a better matchup on this championship stage.
The 1 and 2 seeds matching up here for the first time since 2016. as crazy as this tournament is, everything went according to Hoyle to get the 1 and 2 here.
Really, a much-needed bucket here for Northern Colorado. And for really, he has 12. He's 5 of 6 from the field.
Really just continues to kind of dominate down at the offensive end, not only scoring it, he's already got 3 assists on a couple great draw and kicks. First team all-league, 3rd in the league in assists, 1st in assist to turnover ratio. He has had a great year, first team all Big Sky Conference.
Second foul on McCreary. Johnson will shoot 2 when we return. The Montana Grizzlies and Northern Colorado Bears continue with this championship game around the corner here in Starch Madness. You're watching ESPN Champ Week, presented by Principal. This is the Big Sky Men's Basketball Championship game. A 6-point game, late here in the first half. Coach, you put a big emphasis on this point guard matchup tonight, and these two players have shined brightly here in the early going.
Well, Tony, it has been a great year in the Big Sky for point guards. There was 3 point guards on the first team all Big Sky, all-conference team, 1 on the second. Jaron Reilly right now leading all scorers with 12 points, 5 of 6 from the field, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Brandon Whitney, the point guard for the Grizzlies, leading his team with 10 points and 2 assists. We knew that would be a very good matchup between not only 2 very talented point guards, 2 guys who have been around the stump a whole bunch of times. In fact, Brandon Whitney, just with this start tonight, set a school record, his 156th game, which is a school record.
We've got you covered on Selection Sunday once again. It all starts at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific with SportsCenter on ESPN. Reese and the guys look at the men's field of 68 as the brackets are announced, followed by bracketology on each region. At 8, the women's field of 68 is revealed with bracketology and a complete breakdown at 9 Eastern on ESPN2.
Hawthorne with just his 2nd field goal of the game, Tony. He got their first basket off of 1 pass to start the game. He had a terrific game to start the tournament. 29 points, 9 rebounds. Wasn't quite as effective in the second. Tajon Sawyer just strong as 3 rolls of onions when he gets down and around the basket. 6'8", 252 pounds. He's had a very, very good tournament.
Danker from the baseline, in and out. Ball tapped around. Sawyer had it. Hawthorne was able to get to it to a point. Jump ball. It will go to Montana.
Well, you can tell you're in the championship game with a lot on the line. Bodies flying all over the place. Isaiah Hawthorne got on that like white on rice on that loose ball.
Take a look at that replay. Hawthorne had it just for a second there. And Sawyer was able to earn that tie-up. Montana has hit their last 7 shots from the field. And the Grizzlies shooting 71% overall. The Bears shooting 65% overall. No surprise, these are the 2 best teams offensively in the conference.
Well, this has just been a very, very well-played game. A little bit more high-scoring than what I thought it would have been, given what both these teams have done defensively in their first 2 games. Northern Colorado, Tony, has not allowed teams to score over 50 points. They're holding their first two opponents to 48.5 points. Montana already with 40 points.
Sawyer with the clock at 7. Money Williams with the clock winding down. Reynolds thought he had the strip, but the foul is called. Money Williams will shoot 1 and 1.
Brandon Whitney, the point guard we've been raving about for the Grizzlies, out of the game now. Money Williams shifts over, a big old strong point guard at 6'4", 200 pounds. We usually talk about Money Williams, what a prolific scorer is, but he also leads them in assists, Tony. I mean, he's a good all-around player, outstanding rebounder. But when he gets going offensively, talked about that 36-point game he had at Portland State. He had 30 at the University of Tennessee, where he had 26 points the second half. When he gets going, he is hard to get stopped.
The second unit has been a huge part of that regular season series between these 2 teams. Tonight so far, it's Montana with 4 bench points. Could be a 5th if Money Williams makes this. It is a 5th to 3 for the Northern Colorado Bears. And the Grizzlies out to a 9-point lead. That is their biggest.
Well, both coaches really do a good job of playing their cards with their bench, as you was talking about. Travis DeCure, the winningest coach in history at the University of Montana. Langston Reynolds just bullying his way to the basket there. First team all Big Sky guy, just a sophomore. So I think maybe the best athlete in the league, 6'4", 195 pounds.
10 points for Reynolds. Money Williams, strong take. 2 free throws coming for him. The Bears did not like that call. And this foul is called on Denker. That is going to be his 3rd. Now, he comes off the bench, but he does have 3 personal fouls in this first half.
Well, he had his career high against Montana in their matchup in early February, 21 points. Denker is their leading bench scorer, and he's a guy that kind of tickles me to watch him, because when he gets in, he's got one thing on his mind, and it's not a whole lot about playing defense. He's got one thing going, and that is to put the brown thing in the round thing, and boy, he'll get a shot up here pretty quick.
Northern Colorado led by as many as 32 when they won in Missoula. Montana led by as many as 21 when they retaliated in Greeley.
That was Travis DeCure's worst conference loss ever on his home court.
And it was over fast, by the way. And it just kept getting worse.
Well, a very explosive Northern Colorado team offensively. They're down 9, but they can score quick as a hiccup if you let them get going.
Reynolds harassed in the paint. He's going to be fouled. What people would forget about that trip is they got the win at Montana. They also had the massive rally against Montana State.
Down 20 points in the second half, came all the way back to win by 1. Had they not won that game, they would not have been the #1 seed.
Wouldn't have had the co-regular season championship. And these two teams, both 15-3 during the conference year, and during this tournament have dominated up to this point. A miss on the free throw by Reynolds. 67.3% from the stripe.
Reynolds with 10 points, 5 of 8 from the field, Tony. He hadn't scored in double figures in 3 straight games, so that's good news for the Bears.
Montana on top. We step aside for just a moment. The Big Sky Conference Championship game. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. Let's build a retirement and benefits plan that works for your team. Well, the champions that have been a part of Starch Madness, you see it right there. Montana State defeated Northern Colorado on this court back in 22, went back-to-back in 23, and last year stormed back to beat the Grizzlies. They were down by 11 in that second half, went on a 13-1 run. The Grizzlies hit one of their next 14. It was a 33-6 avalanche. Travis DeCure and his team, they remember that well and have wanted to get back on this stage and have a chance to win it again.
Well, it's amazing. Montana State, the 3 previous tournaments, Tony, had gone undefeated in 3 straight years, winning 3 straight tournament champions. And Northern Colorado just took them apart defensively yesterday, held them to 27% from the field, 17% from the 3-point line. I mean, they were on them like freckles on a redhead from the get-go and never let off.
Hawthorne guarding Pridgeon. Pridgeon slithers inside and scores it. He's had all the moves here in this first half.
He has. He's been a handful on that low block, just taking his time, and man, oh man, has he been assertive. This is as assertive as I've seen him offensively. He's usually just kind of happy to play along. He's kind of taking the bull by the horns here tonight.
Hawthorne guarded by Pridgeon now. And after Pridgeon scored against Hawthorne, Hawthorne can't answer on the other end. It does go out of bounds. It'll stay with the Bears.
Remember what I said about Pridgeon a little bit early on. Here's that great offensive move by him. Only 6'5", but great lower body strength and quickness. I talked about him being such a good defender because he just simply stays down and stays between his man and the basket, and that's exactly what he did against Isaiah Hawthorne. A little bit of a mismatch there, but Pritchett just guarded the heck out of him.
McCreary terminates the dribble, goes back out to Riley with 7. Clock down to 3. Riley, let's see what he's got. A step back 3, and he hits it.
Wow.
15 points for Riley.
Wow.
He is 6 for 7 from the field tonight.
Really a first-team All-League guy, averages a little bit under 12. He's having his way here in the first half with the Bears.
1 for 7 from deep to start off this tournament. He's 3 for 4 tonight. On the other end, the Grizzlies have hit their last 8 shots. Whitney, one in the final save for the half, and scores it. Hawthorne, Euros, fires from half court, nearly hit it. And the Montana Grizzlies with a 9-point lead. Jaron Riley from Australia with a phenomenal first half with 15 points.
That's pretty good defense for Malik Moore as well. And then Whitney comes back and powers his way over a guy much bigger than him. The Grizzlies, 48 points. I would have bet the ranch they would have not got that many points this half, Tony.
48-39, the score here at the half in Starch Madness. Let's go back to the studio with Dallin and Tom, guys. You're watching ESPN Champ Week presented by Principal. This is the Big Sky Men's Basketball Championship game. The biggest lead for Montana has been 10. Right now they lead by 9. They finished the first half hitting their last 9 shots from the field in what has been an explosive game offensively. Welcome on back to Boise alongside Hall of Fame coach Joe Cravens. I'm Tony Parks. And Coach, so far in this one, the number 1 and number 2 offenses have been showing why they were ranked there. And on top of that, the point guard's been leading the way.
Well, we knew it would be a great point guard matchup, Tony. Both guys all league. Jaron really has just been hotter than a Texas parking lot. 15 points on 6 of 7 shooting, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. He is a first-team all-league guy, and he has scored in just a variety of ways. Also has 2 rebounds and 4 assists to go with that. And his counterpart, Brandon Whitney, matching those numbers almost. 12 points, 4 of 4 from the field, 2 of 2 from the three-point line, 2 assists. I tell you, how about this between the 2 point guards, Tony? 10 of 11 from the field, 5 of 6 from the 3. I tell you, as they say back home, that ain't love, but it ain't bad, brother.
It's been a great first half as we take a look at some of these numbers. My goodness.
Well, if you're the Bears, the good news is you're shooting 65%. The bad news is the Grizzlies are shooting 74%, which you could have knocked me over with a straw. As good as these 2 teams have been defensively in the first 2 games, that they're both shooting that way.
Wisney on the first possession, held up by Sawyer. Riley's had the answer no matter how much time has been on the clock. He goes up against Whitney now with 5. Backing him down, turns and fades from that base, and really just cannot miss tonight. He has 17.
And even though he is 3 for 4 from the three-point line, he just can't be stopped in that little mid-post area there. 6'3", he just has a great feel for that little mid-range jump shot, and Malik Moore has really come alive. 8 points now. He was just really struggling from the field, only 4 of 14 for the tournament in the first 2 games.
Hawthorne to answer on the other end. Back-to-back mid-range jumpers. Making a 7-point game again.
The Grizzlies have now hit 10 straight field goals, Tony. And again, the performances that these 2 teams had in their first 2 games defensively was just off the charts. And they're just playing like they're in the middle of the rec center right now, just going up and down.
Whitney guarded by Block. Takes it by him, right side, and scores it. That change of pace, oh so tough to stay in front of.
Well, Zach Block is on the first team all-defensive team in the Big Sky, and Brandon Whitney, what an explosive move. A little change of pace, change of direction, a little shooky on that one. And the 9th all-time leading scorer in Montana history continues being just as hot as really is.
Brandon Whitney has not missed tonight. Really has missed just one shot. Malik Moore has come to life offensively tonight and continues. Malik Moore with 11 points. The Pepperdine transfer had been held to single digits 4 of his last 5. He was shooting 28% from 3 during that span.
Well, that is now his 20th double-figure game of the year, and he has also 4 20-point games, Tony. As I say, he's been kind of nursing a little bit of a wrist injury, but boy, that jumper is on tonight, and it is sweet as church music.
Brock Wisney to the line. 4 for 4 in this tournament, but just 66% at the stripe so far this year. The Bears in Northern Colorado, they had the best free throw rate. They were able to get to the line more than anybody, but just 7th in the conference with free throw shooting at 70%.
He's 10 of 12 from the field for the game. Shoots a little bit of a knuckleball up there. Looks a little bit like Gaylord Perry's ball going up there, but those two went in.
Gaylord Perry, who played for about 16 teams in his career.
He played forever, too.
A 10-point game here in this second half. Hot streaks back and forth from both teams. Pridgeon muscles the paint. Moore straight away to Whitney. He's 5 for 5 from the field tonight. Pridgeon, strong move on Reynolds, goes underneath him and scores.
How about Pridgeon is just having a night. As I said, much more assertive offensively. Now he has 10 points. First team all-conference, mostly because of his defense and rebounding. But he's just having a big night offensively now. Pridgeon now 5 of 6 from the field. And the Grizzlies now have hit 11 straight field goals.
The Montana Grizzlies shooting 78% from the field. And this guy has been a big part of that with his work in so many different ways. He's had all the moves tonight.
Tony, that's against the Bears team that held Montana State to 27% yesterday and just took them completely apart defensively.
A stop for the Grizzlies defensively. Their biggest lead tonight has been 12. That's what it is right now.
Boy, their ball movement has just been terrific tonight, and their spacing. And Pridgeon playing kind of an inside-out game there with Malik Moore has been hard to handle.
Malik Moore continues to pour it on. He has 13 points tonight. A guy who had some sluggish shooting stretches. He has not missed.
Malik Moore has got 3 buckets off that little in-out 2-man game with Joe Pridgeon.
There goes Pridgeon on a runaway. Left it short, got it back, but did not establish himself in bounds.
Well, we've had Montana a couple times this year, Tony. I don't remember them kind of running that little ISO on that side with Malik Moore and Pridgeon, but they have just really combined to have a really nice 2-man game there. And as I say, Malik Moore is certainly feeling. Love the way he held that follow-through on that last jump shot.
The Bears without a field goal now for 3 minutes. The point guards tonight, a combined 12 for 13 from the field. Hawthorne had 29 in the first conference tournament game this week in Boise. He's trying to go to work on Money Williams. Goes outside. Reynolds for 3. And Langston Reynolds, who doesn't shoot a ton of threes, is now 8 of his last 14 since the start of February.
Well, Reynolds and Hawthorne are 2 of the top 5 scorers in the Big Sky. Hawthorne, we've talked about, 29 points in the first game, just put on a show, but he has been relatively quiet tonight, only 2 for 3 with 4 points.
Whitney still has not missed, and it feels like Montana just can't miss.
Whitney, the all-time assist leader at Montana, scored his 1,600th point yesterday. He may get to 1,700 tonight the way he's shooting.
Hawthorne draws a foul. He'll go to the line. The Montana Grizzlies have led by as many as 14. They're up a baker's dozen as we step aside and Starch Madness. The Montana Grizzlies, such an explosive offense, spent most of the year with the #1 three-point shooting team in the Big Sky Conference. Malik Moore was a really big part of that, and he had some scuffling moments towards the end of the season offensively, but still so strong on the defensive end, and he has come alive here tonight, Coach. 13 points, a perfect 5 of 5 from the field, including all three-point makes.
Well, Malik Moore, second team all-conference. There's the second leading scorer. Luck at that. Shooting percentage, Tony, 77% for the game. That's hotter than Satan's house cat, brother. I'll tell you what, you should win a whole bunch of games if you're shooting it like that. And you know what? The bad news for the Bears, they're shooting 64.5% for the game, and they're down 13 points. I tell you what, I keep referring to this. Both these teams were so dominant defensively in their first two games. I just can't hardly believe what I'm seeing here.
It's stunning.
It is stunning.
The rate
You're a little
makes,
stunning sometimes, I think.
I have definitely
on a
caught
lot of
you
fronts, on a lot of levels.
I'm sure out of you and I, it's me who catches people off guard.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we probably team up on them pretty good, to be honest with you.
Hotter than Satan's house cat, brother. I never know what's coming from you.
Well, I like to keep you on your toes.
Oh, you do. 11-point game here, and the Northern Colorado Bears, they have a defense that they're very proud of, and they're going to try to dig in and get a stretch of stops here because the offense has certainly been there for the Bears.
Well, again, they have held their first two opponents to 48.5 points a game.
Oh, a miss.
Malik Moore's easiest shot of the night. He couldn't go down.
And a bar of soap out of Reynolds' hands. And it's picked up by the Grizzlies, and a carrying violation will give the ball back to the Bears. What a strange sequence this has been.
It was. That was Montana's both teams' 8th turnover. Rebounds are been pretty even. Not a whole lot of rebounds to be had, Tony, when both teams are shooting this. But Montana 12 rebounds and the Bears 7.
And if there's one team that is not going to have a loss of focus here in this situation, it would be Montana. Last year, they led by 11 in this championship game in about this situation before everything flipped upside down on them. It was Montana State, their opponent that night. They went on a 33-6 run, and Montana, who had a pretty solid offensive game that night, suddenly went one of their next 14. So it's always about the next play.
Brock Wisney, who has not been a great free throw shooter, 3 for 3 tonight with 9 points. He's had, there's that broadcaster jinx. So that's usually your role. I should have let you handle that.
He was a perfect 7 for 7 in this tournament before Joe Cravens mentioned that he had not missed. Montana up by 10. We have 14 minutes left to play in this championship showdown. Thanks so much for being up late with us. Whitney is off left on that jumper. That's his first miss of the night. Kai Johnson tried to save it in, and it will go to Northern Colorado. The Bears starting to put together a few stops here.
And that didn't look very good coming out of Whitney's hands. That was his first miss. He'd been 6 for 6 before that. Let's call it 6 for 7. But that didn't look good. That was wide left. Usually you don't see him miss like that.
Wisney, one bounce to the other side, and here come the Bears. It's down to 8.
Well, I don't know what happened to Pridgeon down there. I think he must have taken a coffee break or something because Wisney just caught it and spun right to the basket. I've been bragging on Pridgeon's post defense all night. That was way too easy.
Johnson is going to take it right at Wisney and scoring over him. A weight room layup there for Kai Johnson, and it's a 10-point lead.
I'm not sure how Wisney ended up on Kai Johnson, but that was certainly a mismatch.
Contact away from the ball and a foul. This will go against the Grizzlies for Montana. That is their 5th. They'll have just 1 foul to give over the last 13:07.
It was that last post play by Wisney. As I said, I'm not sure what Pridgett was doing there. And then that was a foul on Money Williams. Wisney came out and set a back screen on him, and Money Williams is no shrinking violet. He turned around and ran right over Wisney and knocked him down. And you've got to be a pretty strong individual to knock Wisney down. So Money Williams takes a seat. Their super sub of last night, Austin Patterson, comes in.
Danker was so open he didn't realize it. He thought he had someone right on his heels and pump faked with nobody there.
That's
tough break.
2 very unlikely defensive breakdowns. One, Pridgeon about 2 possessions ago for that easy post catch. And how he got so wide open on that, I'm not sure. Neither is Travis DeCure, I bet.
Well, and Dinker was equally as surprised.
Let's see, Brandon Whitney's got to have active hands there on the ball and keep it from coming in at that 45-degree angle. He was standing in the right place, but looked like he was checking for loose change in his pocket.
Here comes Jaron Reilly. He's had the answers all night long. Beats the shot clock, hits the shot. And Jaron Reilly has brought it back down to 8. He has 19 points, 8 of 9 from the field.
He is put on quite the show. I've said he is one of 3 point guards on the first team All Big Sky team. And Brandon Whitney was on the second team.
The kickball will bring the shot clock back to 20. Montana's season best shooting from the field is 63.6%. Really, as you mentioned, just putting on a show, driving left, driving right.
Well, it's not like he's getting right to the rim. None of his baskets have been right at the rim. They're all little short floaters and pull-up jump shots. He's got a really good back to the basket game in the paint for a point guard.
Kai Johnson skying in. And a guy who is vital to this team's 10-game win streak. It was when he was inserted into that starting lineup.
Kai Johnson, transfer from Division II Western Washington, scored 1,000 points in 3 years there. He's been nursing a little bit of an injury there, a little inside-out dribble, and he got to the basket in the flash of eyelid that time.
McCreary with the response. The Grizzlies trying to pull away. The Bears staying right there with them. Montana shooting 74% from the field. Northern Colorado shooting 68% from the field. Johnson has 13. Spinning, shooting over McCreary. He's fouled. And he will shoot 2 when we come back. A good one and a late one here tonight in Boise in the Big Sky Championship game. What a championship game this afternoon during the Women's Big Sky Tournament. Danny Barsh with the go-ahead three-pointer late in the game. The Grizzlies up by a digit. Oh, so close to pulling off this magical run. But it was Mara Dykstra getting her own, putting it back at the horn. And the Montana State Bobcats win a thriller, an unforgettable championship game this afternoon here in Boise. First of 2 championship games today. Boy, it was all the madness, all the Starch madness you wanted to see here. All the drama and excitement, and a Treasure State matchup here in the Treasure Valley.
What a finish. And for a lot of fans don't know, here in Boise, all 10 women's teams in the Big Sky, all 10 men's teams come to this same site. And we just hoop it up for about 5 days around here.
There they are, the Bobcats, the champions this season. That was an incredible celebration out there on the floor. So much respect between both programs. A hard-fought game, and also a congratulations on what was a fine performance in this tournament from the Montana women's team. What a unique season that they had. Had to fight their way through as the number 6 seed, pulled some upsets, and nearly pulled off a magical run to win the title. But the Bobcats come out on top. The Montana Grizzlies men's team up by 9 here in this championship game.
Ty Johnson very quietly putting together a good game. That was his 14th point on. He's made 5 out of 6 shots, coming off a 13-point game. Travis DeCure calls him his closer. He said, we have got to have him on the floor at the end of the game. He's playing with more snap in his step than what I've seen for the last couple of weeks. He had a bad ankle injury. It's taken him a while to kind of get over.
Hawthorne blocked there by Johnson. And when his offensive game wasn't flourishing, his defense absolutely was.
Well, he's one of the top steals guys in the league, and he brings great energy when he's feeling good, which is exactly what he has done tonight. Watch this, coming from a long way to defend that.
Really? Contested and still hits. He just cannot be stopped tonight. He has 21 points.
9 of 10 from the field. He is unconscious, Tony. And he's made 3 3-point shots, and then he has scored on such a variety of runners and little short jump shots in the paint. He's putting on a show here.
This foul on the Bears is just the second team foul of this second half. Mentioned Montana's hot shooting. 73.5% from the field as we take a look at Reilly.
Watch this finish here with his offhand kind of hanging in the air. Whitney all over him. And really, as I said, 9 for 10. I mean, he's just having an out-of-body experience almost.
Johnson with 15 points.
Both teams have been straight man-to-man the whole game, not one possession in the zone.
Johnson stops, now shoots over Wisney. Left that one well short. It's tapped back out there by Pridgeon. Here's Patterson for 3. Whistle, stop the play. What do we have?
I don't know.
I don't know if it was a clock issue, but Patterson was just setting up for a good look 3. A guy who had 5 triples last night.
It must have been a clock thing.
Travis DeCure wanting to meet up as quickly as possible, but they will resume play. Now they blew the whistle and stopped everything right as Patterson was about to shoot that ball. Travis DeCure's like, just let him shoot that and let's see what happens. Brandon Whitney in this offense continuing to remain red hot. Malik Moore off a double stagger, looking back, now backs up from way outside. It's short, really the rebound.
Well, that's what Travis DeCure was doing during that dead ball, setting that double stagger screen play up for Malik Moore.
Great ball movement. Hawthorne on a drive, misses. And Hawthorne hit his head there for a moment, but he's back up. So is Malik Moore.
Once again, Pritchard just putting that big body between Hawthorne and the basket and saying, try to score over me if you can, and Hawthorne's had trouble doing that.
Patterson got a season high last night. Whitney in control from the very beginning of this game, draws that foul on Wisney. For Wisney, that's his second. The last time the Montana Grizzlies shot 70% or better was 1968 against Washington State. The best shooting performance in college basketball this season was 71.6%. That was Miami of Ohio. And for the first time tonight, the Grizzlies have dipped below 70%. They're at 69.4. Whitney on Danker. Bumps. Gets him in the air. Can't finish it.
Whitney's usually a great finisher there. He just left that one a little bit short.
Really, with a terrific move, and he continues to have a terrific night. He has 23 and personally moving this team to within 6.
He's missed one shot tonight. I talked about how he is a great decision maker. He's made the decision. He's just going to lead the team in scoring here tonight. He is just having a fabulous game.
Pridgeon likes the matchup with Danker and is going to work him down to the block. The help is there from Reynolds, and Reynolds is there, but the shot's on the rim and off. Pridgeon the O-board. Montana will reset.
Really now matching his season high, Tony, with 23, has a career high of 30. 23 this year, and he's setting on 23 right now.
Well, things have been sluggish for this offense for just a moment. They have been able to get to the line quite a bit.
Just great finish here by really great crossover. Just great concentration, too. Watch his vision. That ball is all the way on the rim, and he still has vision on it before he drops his head. That's what all great finishers do. You put that chin on your chest and try to play through contact. That never works. Really is just putting on a show finishing at the rim tonight. Sawyer back in the game now.
The Montana Grizzlies shooting well from everywhere. That includes the free throw line. They're 13 for 15 at the stripe. It's an 8-point game again. Just over 8 minutes left to play.
Well, in that first half, that was the big point differential. The Grizzlies were 9 for 11 in the first half, and the Bears only shot 2 free throws, 1 for 2.
Danker fends off of Malik Moore and hits it. When Danker, with his first 2 of the night, the senior from San Jose, hit a barrage of threes in that loss to Montana. And some of the fans from Northern Colorado start to rise up, trying to help their defense get what would be a key stop. Montana's missed their last 4 shots, no field goals in the last 4 minutes. A rare dry spell for them tonight. Johnson.
Short. I'm not too sure the Grizzlies aren't getting a little bit tired. The last 3 shots have all been short by him. 3 different guys have left their shots short.
Out of bounds to the Bears. In Northern Colorado, they've been down as many as 14. They've worked its way down to 6. Montana Grizzlies, who won it in 2018, also there in 2019. Trying to do it here in 25. The Big Sky is a blast, especially here in Boise. And many of the championships, most of them won by the Montana Grizzlies. Northern Colorado and Sacramento State have 0. But Northern Colorado did win in 2011. It was vacated. Any way you look at it, they badly want to get this one here and turn what has been a woeful program for most of its Big Sky existence into being at the top.
Well, this is an original Big Sky member, Montana, against one of the newer Big Sky members, Northern Colorado. Northern Colorado joined the league in 2006 and 7. Montana has been in the Big Sky since the Big Sky started in 1963. Kind of a little known fact about the Big Sky, Gonzaga was an original member of the Big Sky.
Wisney against Sawyer. Clock at 10. Nobody else you'd rather have with the ball in his hands than Really. He has 23, and he flat out could not miss tonight. Recollects, double clutches, and almost hit that anyway.
Well, Whitney wasn't in. I was wondering how Kai Johnson ended up on him. Coach DeCure probably giving Whitney a little bit of break and putting a bigger body on the point guard from Northern Colorado, Really.
Pridgeon has had so many timely buckets tonight, and another one to put the Grizzlies up by 8. Pridgeon with 12 points on the night.
Pridgeon has just been outstanding. He's been really good at both ends, defensively, rebounding, really good around the basket, offensively. First team all-conference, mostly because of his rebounding and defense.
Langston Reynolds is fouled on the drive. The Bears wanted them to count that. They will not. That's team foul number 6 against Montana.
It's an 8-point game. The Bears got plenty of time here. They are a very explosive offensive team. #1 scoring offense, #1 field goal percentage, #1 3-point percentage. But the Grizzlies were here last year, as you said, coughed up a double-digit lead late in the game.
Wisney on the reverse, and Brock Wisney, who was 10 out of 12 from the field in the regular season series, has 15 points here tonight. He's 6 for 8. Back and forth they go here towards this late chapter in this championship game. Tajon Sawyer doubled. goes to Williams, or rather Pridgeon, too far. Danker the loose ball. And the Bears, who have hit 8 of their last 11, really into the paint against Johnson. Danker, guarded by Money Williams. Shoulders into him, forearms into him, turns on the short one and missed it. The loose ball, it's Wisney, backs his way in, he's fouled. You can feel just how physical it is in that paint here at this moment of the game.
And Brock Wisney just hanging around that basket, the enforcer. I'm telling you what, that kid is tougher than a $3 steak. And he's got a little ornery in him too, Tony. I tell you, he is, I felt like he has played this whole tournament with a little chip on his shoulder. He had his season low in their last regular season game at Weber State, 3 points. And like I said, he's played with like a man on a mission this whole tournament.
The ACC tournament continues tomorrow with all quarterfinal games starting at noon Eastern. The #1 Duke Blue Devils facing Georgia Tech. Clemson was the only team to beat Duke this year in the ACC, and they're set up to face SMU in the nightcap. Make sure to join us and stay here as well. It's a 4-point game.
How about that? We knew the Bears weren't going to go away. All of a sudden, Montana has started to miss some fairly easy shots around the basket and has gone cold after having that streak where they made about 10 straight. And we have seen in the first 2 games, the Bears are more than capable of playing outstanding half-court defense.
That's too many steps. And the Bears defensively have had that edge combined with Montana missing some shots.
And Brandon Whitney, who only had 24 turnovers in 31 regular season games, 14 games with no turnovers, a very uncharacteristic turnover there.
Reynolds one-on-one against Johnson. Here's Riley. Picked up by Johnson now. Reynolds will take it at Whitney. It's a 2-point game with 5 minutes to go.
And that is where Langston Reynolds is at his best, when he's got a live ball about 15 feet from the basket, 6'4" and very athletic. And here come the Bears.
The Grizzlies, one of their last 7. Running on fumes here to the late moments of the second half. We've got a good one here tonight in Starch Madness. A 2-point game here late. Idaho Central Arena. It has witnessed a terrific show tonight between Montana and Northern Colorado. Coach, the Grizzlies have lost the momentum. How do they get it back?
Well, I think they got to have some quality possessions, Tony. They have came down and shot it pretty quick. I thought their floor spacing earlier in the game was a lot better. They need to get back to playing off one another, and they need to get the ball in that guy's hands right there.
Whitney with 16 points on the night, has missed just 2 shots on the evening. Kai Johnson had a terrific start, and he's carried that throughout the night. Sawyer, the screen. Pridgeon with some steam to the rim. He gets fouled. He'll shoot 2.
I talked about the floor spacing. I'd like that spacing there. A little bit of a draw kick to Pridgeon, who was ready to take it and to get it right to the basket. He has been ultra aggressive driving it to the basket here tonight. Not a great free throw shooter, though.
56.6% at the free throw line. He came to Montana because it was the perfect place to continue his career and also be a father. Travis DeCure putting a big emphasis on that and having the balance of fatherhood, also being a student, and on top of that, being a basketball player. Many of Travis's assistant coaches have children. He has a great system that makes it very emotionally safe for everybody and all the way around to manage every part of their life.
It's an interesting sub. Amari Jenkins coming in for Sawyer.
A split trip and an O-board hits Patterson.
That must be some kind of a matchup situation with Coach Travis DeCure. Of course, he knows his team a whole lot better than me. But he must be an offense or defense for offense substitution.
Patterson, red hot last night. Pridgeon, hashtag girl dad. And And the proud new Papa puts Montana up 5.
And a great decision by Austin Patterson there, who had 5 made threes last night. And you could see that in his eye. He was eyeing one and made a great pass to Pridgeon there.
Reynolds. He'll go to the free throw line here. The Bears did not have some brutal lead that they had to recover from, but they have slowly worked their way back, and they're trying to finish it off here tonight. But the Grizzlies with a timely bucket. Patterson for Pridgeon. Montana, they're up by 5 with just under 4 to play. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. Let's build a retirement and benefits plan that works for your team. Well, you see what they're playing for here tonight, Coach. 3:57 to go, a 5-point game. A fabulous show. Joe Pridgeon with a terrific performance up to this point of the night. So many individuals shining, but both of these teams, well, they showed why they were the 1 and 2 seeds and the co-champions in the regular season.
Pridgeon with an explosive 15 points. I was wondering why Travis Secure brought Tejon Sawyer out. He's putting back in. He has 4 fouls on him, which I didn't realize, Tony. He took him out for a defensive possession. He's got him back in on an offensive possession now. Look for him to do that maybe a couple more times here in the last 4 minutes.
An important 2-for-2 trip for Reynolds, shooting 67.3% from the line. Makes it a 1-possession game. It's 74-71, and some pressure here.
It looked like the Grizzlies might run away with this, up 9 at halftime and just on a hot shooting streak. This one all of a sudden has gotten tighter than a banjo string.
On the curl, Patterson, straightaway 3. No, the rebound fought for. It's Hawthorne. He's bumped by Pridgeon and fouled. That is going to send Hawthorne to the line. It'll be 1 and 1. For Pridgeon, his 3rd.
Pridgeon was trying awfully hard to avoid that contact. The official standing right there. He just about had to call that. That'd been a tough one to pass on. Hawthorne with only 8 points. You know, after having that 29-point first game, boy, he looked like an NBA first-round draft pick that first game. He's quieted down quite a bit since then.
11 for 13 at the line, Northern Colorado. Hawthorne, and the senior from Tracy, California.
Grizz with a couple, excuse me, Tony. Both teams got timeouts to use. The Grizz with 2 and Northern Colorado with 3. That'll play big here in the last 3.5 minutes.
It's a 1-point game. Many fans up onto their feet now. Northern Colorado fans with the defense chant. They've been trying to help will their team back from being down by as many as 14. Johnson with 5. Bump, foul, and 1. Another timely bucket for the senior from Olympia, Washington.
Transfer from Division II Western Washington, scored 1,000 points in 3 seasons there. 17 double-figure games coming into this one. As you mentioned earlier, their fortunes really turned when the coach of the year, Travis Secure, inserted him into the lineup and took his leading scorer out of the lineup, Money Williams, who turned into the 6th man of the year in the Big Sky. That was huge. What a great finish by Kai Johnson. 6'4", 190 pounds. Really athletic and strong and really competitive.
Leads his team in scoring with 20. 2-time All-GNAC with Western Washington.
Remember, I
giving
said
the Grizzlies a 4-point lead.
He's the guy his coach calls him the finisher. He's got to have him in at the end of the game, and he just showed a little bit of that.
A double team against Riley. Room to operate for Reynolds. Shoots over some length, can't get it. Rebound fought for, it's Austin Patterson. And Patterson goes to Johnson.
Really nice rebound for Patterson, who had 5 rebounds last night, rebounding it in a crowd.
Montana, with 2 timeouts left, they'll use one of them here. 77-73. The Grizzlies trying to put a lid on it. The Bears right behind them, right here on ESPN2. You've been in these huddles in this championship round. What are these conversations like right now for each of these 2 coaches?
Well, Travis DeCuire, his sermon is let's get a quality possession. If we can get that 2-man game with Malik Moore and Pridgeon on one side and isolate them, that was really good for them early in the game. Number one, you got to get the ball in. Remember, you got 4 guys on the court and they got 5. So first and foremost, let's get a safe catch. But let's get a quality shot. 17 seconds left. They don't have to be in a hurry. And then down at the other end, contest every shot, block out, and rebound.
Shot clock at 7. Step back 3 and a crispy 3-piece for Kai Johnson. He has 23, and it's a 7-point lead for Montana.
And you wonder why his coach calls him the finisher. The last 6 points for the Grizzlies have all come from Kai Johnson, the finisher. How about that?
Hawthorne will shoot 2. We'll take a look. Such an important shot here late in the game with so much money on the table.
Well, I'm not sure what Coach DeCuire drew up, but Kai Johnson had other thoughts. A little step back to his left, not awful defense by Danker. Kai Johnson dropped that one, Tony, like 3rd period calculus.
I know all about that.
You never got the calculus. You were in basic math.
Not even Texas Instruments could save me on any of that. Kai Johnson with the 23 points. What a performance for him. And what an addition to this team. Hawthorne and the Bears have been great at the free throw line. They've worked so hard to battle their way back tonight. They've been without a field goal now for almost 3 minutes. Both teams shooting 64% from the field.
Big free throws
2 minutes
by
left to
Hawthorne
play.
there. The Grizzlies only 1 timeout left. Northern Colorado with 3. Travis DeCuire with his 3 guards in the game now. A little bit smaller lineup. Sawyer on the bench, so they're playing small to try to take care of this and hit free throws.
Whitney into the paint. Straight business from the CEO of the Montana Grizzlies.
So good at leading with that body, creating a little room to work from for a guy that small, 6'1".
Hawthorne had it slip out of his hands. Wisney the loose ball. A deflection from Patterson. It's out of bounds. A timeout by Northern Colorado. An explosion of maroon from the bench of Montana. A big moment for Whitney.
Whitney might have gotten away with a little bit of a push-off, but he is the master of leading with that body, creating a little space. 24 points in the first game in this tournament, where he went 8 of 9 from the floor, and just like this game, kind of took over down the stretch, getting the ball to the paint. What a great finisher for a guy that's 6'1", 183 pounds.
Well, we have you covered on Selection Sunday once again. It all starts at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific with SportsCenter on ESPN. Reese and the guys look at the men's field of 68 as the brackets are announced, followed by bracketology in each region. At 8, the women's field of 68 is revealed with bracketology and a complete breakdown at 9 Eastern on ESPN2.
If UNC doesn't score here, Tony, they're going to have to think pretty quick about fouling. If they don't score, they're down 7 with 1:21 left. They've got 16 fouls. The next foul will put Montana at the line. Montana with 10 fouls. So Hawthorne will be shooting a couple here. He just knocked a couple down. Hawthorne, a first team all Big Sky guy, one of 3 on Northern Colorado's team.
Hawthorne tonight a perfect 6 for 6.
He's an 81% free throw shooter, which is second on his team. Really leads them in free throw shooting at 83%. He hits this. It's a 2-possession game. The Grizzlies need about one more score and just take care of the ball and hit free throws, and I think they're in business.
While the Bears have gone without a field goal for nearly 4 minutes. They've been able to make it work at the line, but now they need the stops. And this Montana offense now hitting their last 3 from the field, and they have all the weapons they need out on the court. They are tough to slow down.
3 guards with Malik Moore and Pridgeon in the game, and that is not where you want to get the ball in that corner.
Patterson is going to be fouled by Reilly. So they'll go into the foul game now. And Patterson 80% from the line.
Patterson's a kid who has been in this tournament before with Sacramento State. 2 years at Walford, 2 years at Sac State. Played really well for Sac State this time last year, having a great game last night. A season high 20 points, 5 made threes.
Patterson hits the front end of the 1-and-1. With how many weapons they have on this team, somebody was going to have to come off the bench and not have as many shots as they were accustomed to. Patterson many times had scoreless performances and shot the ball very few times. He's had 1 field goal attempt tonight. His unselfishness has rippled to the rest of the team. It's a 5-point game. We have just over a minute left to play. Really, into a double team, he'll go to the line.
Really, as he has been doing all night, crossover dribble, a little change of pace, getting all the way to the basket. He's been a little quiet here of late, but he's got 23 points, 10 of 12 from the field. Believe it or not, this is his first free throws.
A rare miss on the night for Reilly and also for Northern Colorado at the stripe this evening.
83% free throw shooter. And he shot a bunch, 112. It's hard to believe he left that one short.
A split trip. It's a 2-possession game here. With 1 minute left to play. So it'll be Patterson back to the free throw line.
And what I like about Whitney, he made sure, remember their first catch against that Northern Colorado press was in the dead corner. Whitney that time made sure he did not catch it in the corner. He was on the side of the floor, and as soon as he got it, he made sure he put it on the floor and got away from that double team. Such a smart player. He's played more games than anyone in the history of Montana basketball and more minutes than anyone in the history of Big Sky basketball. That's a lot of minutes, Tony.
Oh, yes. Patterson hits both again. It's an 8-point game. And the Bears need a bunch of scores in a short amount of time. Really long on the 3. Whitney grabs the rebound. What do we have? It's a tie-up. It'll go to Montana. They'll keep it.
It's amazing how Whitney just makes key plays, whether it's a basket, whether it's a steal, whether it's a rebound. I mean, he has just had such a wonderful career for Montana. Travis DeCure just lights up when you bring his name up. Travis DeCure's been there 11 years. Whitney's been there 5 of them with him.
Moore, double teamed and trapped on that sideline. They will use a timeout. That is the final timeout here for the Montana Grizzlies.
Now, the biggest challenge is to get the ball inbounds. So that's a tough place to inbound. That's not quite in the corner. Now, remember, he can't move from there. And as I always like to say, you've got 4 guys on the court. They got 5. So first and foremost, they have got to get it in without turning it over. And then they've got to make some free throws. And they'll be home free. They're right at just under a minute, 46.7 seconds. This may be the biggest inbounds play of the game to get a safe catch here.
This is
and
where
you don't want, excuse me, you don't want to throw it back toward Northern Colorado's basket. If you get in trouble, you want to throw it towards your basket.
Montana, the most experienced team in the Big Sky Conference when looking at Division I experience. Closing games is where you find a way to do that. And speaking of the closer, Kai Johnson. What a night.
Boy, he has hit big shot after big shot and made some terrific defensive plays. This was a dagger when they really needed it there. Great finisher, over 1,000-point score in his career. He is the ultimate closer for the Grizzlies.
Number of quality free throw shooters on this team, and on the floor right now for the Montana Grizzlies. Malik Moore to inbound.
Don't be surprised if they throw this long. Watch them set a screen on Whitney and break him long. They got the catch they needed.
Off of Johnson's leg and a turnover. The Bears needed that. Northern Colorado with 2 timeouts left.
Now they got to defend and rebound. One contested shot and get to rebound, and do not foul a jump shooter here.
Reynolds takes it right at Pridgeon. Can't get it. Really can't get the follow. Pridgeon comes down with the board, and he is fouled. They'll walk 94 feet. And a big stop for Montana.
I tell you, Joe Pridgeon is a man's man in and around that basket. He went up sawmill strong with 2 hands there. Watch this rebound in a crowd. First team all conference. I said mostly because of his rebounding and his defense, but he has been very aggressive offensively tonight. Pridgeon with 15 points, 4 rebounds, and a couple assists. Let's make that 16 points. His 19th double-figure game of the year. He has 5 double-doubles this year. He has been a great pickup for the Coach of the Year, Travis DeCure, and these Montana Grizzlies.
Not known as a free throw shooter, and he's hit 4 out of 5. And a pair of clutch free throws there. The lead is now at 10. Desperation time for the #1 seeded Northern Colorado Bears. Zach Block hits the 3. The only remaining member from that team that made it to the finals in 2022 cuts it to 7.
Zach Block had 2 threes last night, 1 in the first game, and they all seem like they are big, timely threes, momentum threes.
He got him off to a great start last night. He keeps them breathing right now. Northern Colorado has 1 timeout left.
Looked like
trying to hang in there.
Looked like he was throwing darts on that one. He let that one go so quick, and that was a dart. Boy, that was from here to Dammit, Texas, Tony, and that's a long way away. He was almost on his own bench when he let that one go.
And there is no Delta non-stop.
No,
from that community in Texas.
No, you got a Greyhound bus to Dammit, Texas. You can't fly in there.
Northern Colorado needing a takeaway. The other thing that's just as good as that, they have the possession arrow. Get into a tie-up if you can, rather than just foul. With a 7-point game,
well, Montana's done
big.
A pretty good job of handling their pressure. I like the way they don't start 15 feet from the basket. They start here at about half court and give themselves a chance to move again, maybe move a 3rd time.
Oh. Intercepted, really. A bad turnover. Zach Block couldn't convert. It was halfway down. Patterson grabbed the rebound. And that was so close to making this a 4-point game. And the Grizzly fans just exhale.
Mercy. Just as I said, Montana had done a pretty good job of handling that pressure. I could see that coming. What a heads-up play. Let's see who was it came up with that. Who else but Jaron Reilly. Well, he has cooled down a little bit scoring-wise, but he certainly has contributed down the stretch here, really, I'm speaking about. And so has that guy, Austin Patterson. Clutch free throw after clutch free throw. He hits this one, and that makes it 9 points, and Elvis has about left the building, Tony.
Whoa, a split trip, an 8-point game. Northern Colorado quickly up the court. Hawthorne is going to find Danker. He'll drive the base. It was blocked by Pridgeon. They're going to call goaltending, and I believe they're going to review this. They will.
Well, that's not all that bad for Travis DeCure and the Grizzlies. It gives him time with no timeouts left to draw his press attack up. They're one catch away from salting this thing away, Tony, but they've got to get a catch. Remember last possession, they turned it over and kind of avoided the Bears scoring on that. I'm not sure that was goaltending. It looked like he got it on the way up.
It might be tough to overturn if that is above the cylinder. They'll take another look at that. It may have.
If it hit the glass first, then it's definitely goaltending, but I couldn't tell if it hit the glass first there or not.
Steve Smiley took over this Northern Colorado program, a team that has always had an uphill climb. Put a big emphasis on in-state recruiting. Has him in the championship game here tonight for the second time in 4 years, and only got glass. Very close to that cylinder as well. It would just be tough to overturn, but this guy. 13.4. This guy is the right guy for the job. They reset the clock.
He's done a great job there. His second 20-win season in his 5 years there, Tony. 25 wins. It's the second time he's got him to the final game of this conference tournament. Co-conference champions. He's done a really, really nice job there, and what a nice person as well.
Malik Moore is fouled. He'll go to the free throw line, where Malik Moore has been such a key part of this team's success. And while his offense was scorching hot during that 10-game win streak, his team had their offense hit a mild lull there towards the end of the season. But they caught fire again in this tournament. Malik Moore was fabulous tonight, 5 of 7 from the field and 13 points.
Well, they hit that little lull there offensively, Tony, when Malik Moore had an wrist injury and Kai Johnson had an ankle injury. Now, neither one missed games, but they were both beat up pretty good. Travis DeCure said they were having a lot of trouble finishing games because of those two injuries.
He hits the first of 2.
14 now for Malik Moore, second team all-conference.
Travis DeCure mentioned that in the COVID era, they felt like they really weren't able to operate to their best level. There's certain things you don't know when you can't talk to a person in person. He felt like they were missing something. And while they were never bad, he always felt like they could be much better. He felt like they got it back to the way they wanted just last year. Patterson the rebound. He'll run this out. Up with Montana and on to the NCAA tournament.
Tony, what a finish. I would have never guessed that this game would have got into the 80s and at 91 points, the way these two teams had defended in their first 2 games. But it was an up and down affair. Very well played. Congratulations to the Grizzlies and congratulations to the Bears for what a nice year. 25 wins. They finished the season 25-9. Just an outstanding year. Co-conference champions for Steve Smiley. Travis DeCure with his 3rd conference tournament championship and his 3rd trip to the NCAA. The Big Sky Coach of the Year.
These two put on quite a show. They were the 2 best offenses. When you looked at their numbers, razor-thin margins between them in every statistical area. The Bears tonight shot 60% from the field, 43% from deep, and they were 85% at the free throw line. They lost to a Montana Grizzly team that was scorching hot throughout so much of the night. A season best 65% from the field. They were 7 of 11 from beyond the arc at 64%. And they didn't miss much at the line at 86%, 24 for 28. I mean, you wanted 2 great teams to play at a high level, and they certainly did.
They did. And the Grizzlies go to 11-0, Tony, where they have 10 or less turnovers. No, it was a very well played game, a very competitive game. Both teams just competing at a real high level. I thought the Grizzlies were going to run away and hide, and here came the Bears, and no deal there, and they took it right down to the wire.
Partner, I enjoyed it as always. It is way too much fun. No matter what time of night it is, it's always a great time being with you.
Well, Tony, this is our 9th game in 5 days. We need to talk about a little trial separation, I think, after this. We have had a great time and a great year together. It has been a whole bunch of fun.
Our thanks to all of you for joining us here on this late night and a great night. Congratulations to the Northern Colorado Bears on a terrific season and a regular season championship. And congratulations to the Montana Grizzlies headed to the big dance. Our thanks to our production crew. Alongside Joe Cravens, I'm Tony Park saying good night from Boise. This has been a presentation of college basketball on ESPN2.